All right. What's up out there, BlabberMouths? Woo! Jay Billy just joined in. So
Nice.
this week we have the end of the year rush. What did we do? What are we doing? Because some of us are done, some of us are still in the process of getting finished. What do we do to end our year? So I am Justin Schleiter, physical education, health, and technology teacher for children's ages 3 to 13. Next up on my left, Mr. Enlick.
Hi, I'm Nick Enlick. I teach elementary health and phys ed, K to 6. Let's see here. Health, 4th through 6th grade, phys ed, K through 6, and then, as always, dabble in as much tech as I can.
My name's Adam Laveau. I am athletic director, head of department, kindergarten through grade 12 PE teacher, and I look after Justin and Nick most of the time as well. So here we go. Come on, let's get this show rolling.
All right, let's get rolling. First, you are the only one who's done the year, correct, Adam? You're all finished up and ready to fly back, or you still have more time left?
I've got another week.
All right. So
I'm done.
You're all done? Finished? Completely finished?
Yep.
Congratulations. So let's talk about this end of the year rush. So Adam, you're at an international school, so we'll start with you. What end of the year paperwork or year-long reflection, what do you have to do for the international school?
I think it's like America. It ranges from school to school. I actually work in an American district school, so towards the end of the year, we've had to look at our IPGP, which is our personal growth plan. We had to look at 3 goals this year, and those goals were set by the district, and then we sort of came up with our own goals that we broke down. So the goals were literacy, collaboration, and technology. So for collaboration, quite a task that, because we do a lot of team teaching in my department, came quite natural. That's along with the technology, try to incorporate meaningful technology when needed. And then the literacy, I think for some PE plans, it doesn't always look very high on the list, but we try to incorporate as much literacy as possible within the PE program that we have here.
So what kind of literacy are we talking?
So my biggest discussion point is not to take away from too much movement time. So looking at making it still meaningful, but with it being a district goal, we need to show they're at least attempting to incorporate literacy into the lessons. So So what we've done is, depending on the grade level, we've done a little bit of writing more at the upper school, so some more of reflection type stuff, where straight down to more the lower end of spelling keywords that are around the gym, and even got the alphabet around the gym where they would run and then tap the wall to spell that word, etc.
Yeah, the word walls are huge over here right now. Everybody and their mother loves to have a word wall, and they look for that in the classes. Nick, do you have any word walls in your gym?
I've done them before, more so in health. I'll definitely have some things. I have 2 bulletin boards in health, so depending upon the units and stuff, I'll definitely put up some things, some keywords, as far as whether it's first aid and we're talking about universal precautions, or just some of those overarching themes and terms. I'll put them up. I've done it a little bit in the gym, but the problem is the actual walls. Nothing sticks to them. So to actually put them up on the wall, everything ends up falling down anyway. So I kind of stopped trying to literally put them up. I do every now and again, depending upon the topic in the unit. I have some space on my whiteboard, which is magnetic, that I can put some things up. but I don't have like a set bulletin board that I can actually put stuff up on. So I don't do a ton as far as that goes. I should probably do more. It'd probably be helpful as far as some of those key terms, especially when you're talking like with our health related fitness and all that sort of stuff. That's probably something that should be up all year, because it's something that we talk about within most, if not all, of the units.
Yeah, I don't do much with a word wall, and I know I probably should, because every classroom has one. They love it, and Adam's throwing silverware down over there. I don't even know what's going on, but
Easy breakfast.
yeah, word walls are pretty cool, and they keep the themes throughout the year, which I think is good stuff. So you talked to Adam, you talked about your goals, and you said the district came up with 3 goals. That was the collaboration, the literacy, and whatever else was going on in technology. That's what they came up with. And then what did you?
So that we have to then break those goals down. So there are 3 district goals, and then we have to break those down and come up with our own goals within those. Make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And now, how did you prove that you met those goals or did not meet those goals?
Through evidence that we'd obviously generated, i.e. taking pictures or video of what was happening in the classroom, etc., and then walkthroughs from admin as well.
All right, so we have some video evidence. So the walkthroughs, the anecdotal evidence. Anything else? Did you do any tests or anything else?
I use technology, of course, for my basic sort of multiple choice tests that I did. So used Fluebrew and Google Forms, etc.
Now, do they require that when you hand it in? Is there like a set measurement? How do they know that you met these goals? Like, what if you did it once in the beginning of the year and never did it again? How do they measure if you've achieved this or not?
It was more of a reflective piece. So I think it was about us being honest to ourselves, and if we had, and 1 or 2 of the goals that we set ourselves as a department, we didn't quite meet. So that's something obviously to work on towards next year.
And did you have a department meeting about this, or do you meet with your supervisor?
Well, I'm head of the department anyway, so
So did you meet with yourself? Did you sit in front of a mirror and say, "Well, we did this"? So how many are in your department?
There's 2 full-time teaching staff, and we have a teaching assistant as well.
So did you sit together and say, "This is what we did. This is where we need to work on"? Did they hand the evidence to you? Are you in like a supervisory kind of role?
Yeah. So what we did is we met and we discussed about what was achieved throughout the year. But with us team teaching and sharing an office, we meet literally every day. So there's a lot of collaboration that goes on anyway, looking at how to move things forward as a department. And then what we did was, once we discussed, we then obviously went to admin and had a meeting with admin as well.
Now, do you have a mid-year check-in as well to say, "Hey, this is where we're at, meeting these goals," or is it just...
I would say we met around January, so probably twice this year, just to sort of, okay, where are we up to, what do we need to work on, etc., and come up with an action plan.
Nice.
So, Adam, at the beginning of the year, did your department sit down, take your district goals, and then what process did you use to determine, your either individual or department goals? Do you use SMART goals? Like, what did you guys do in order to set those goals for the year? And then did you take baseline data and then compare it at the end to the beginning, or what did that look like?
I know some teachers did in terms of baseline data, especially for like their literacy. For us, we were probably using more technology than anyone else in the school last year, and obviously we wanted to build on what was this year. With my teaching partner changing this year, she is actually an NQT, newly qualified teacher. So I think stages of our learning where we're up to is very different as well. So in terms of collaboration, she was wanting to learn from me, and me taking more of a mentorship and helping her develop into her first year of teaching as well.
Nice. All right, Nick. So you're in Pennsylvania, and you guys have SLOs, correct?
Correct.
So you're a little slow over there in Pennsylvania.
We are very slow in Pennsylvania. Yes.
So did you have well, since you're done, you obviously had your end of the year meetings. Tell us about your end of the year crush. What was going on? What did you have to do? What paperwork needs to get handed in? And how did we?
Besides just the curriculum stuff and getting lessons in, because that's always, for whatever reason, the end of the year is just always jam-packed with stuff. Once our state testing's over, it's like the year just goes. And, I always feel like I run out of time to get all of my lessons, all of my content in. And, so for me, it was just like focus on getting it, everything in that I can. And then once, this past week came in, we had to sit down I had to sit down with my principal. Now our SLO is a little bit different this past year, and it's changing for next year. We did a district SLO. So the district set the goal for everybody. And we did, we adopted the Collins writing. So they set the goal for all special area teachers, we had to do, there's 3 types. You have a type 1, a type 2, and a 10% summary. So they set out, we had to do a type 1 every day, we had to do a type 2 every day, and then we had to do a 10% summary like once a month. Well, the 10% summaries can take up to a week in a regular classroom.
What is 10%?
So you give them an article, and they have to read and then summarize the article. And basically the summarization of the article has to be, they have to use 10%. So if it's a 300-word article, they have to use at least 30 words within the summary, so on and so forth. I never even did one. So luckily, before I had to do one, they changed our SLO so that we didn't have to. So they eliminated the 10% summary for special area teachers because it was impossible because of the amount of time that it took up and how we don't see our kids often enough.
So how'd you do on the 1 and 2? How'd you get that accomplished, and how much movement time did it take away? Because Adam is worried about that, and I think all phys ed teachers are. We're worried about that.
I was extremely worried about it. So the way I accomplished it was during health class. So because we're already within a traditional classroom setting, it was easier to do in there because, we're already working on other stuff. So we're sitting, we're at desk chairs, we're working within groups on other projects. So it was easier for me to say, all right, we're going to do a quick type 1. Answer this question, boom, boom, and go. But for me, I only did it with my older kids because they're the only ones that could do it fast enough. They're the only ones that I have for health. I wouldn't do it with my younger kids because of exactly that, because of taking away from that activity time. So I really didn't do too well on my SLO this year. But it didn't affect my overall performance. So my overall evaluation did not get affected.
So overall, you didn't get any faster.
I was really slow, really, really slow. So let's put it this way. We had about 3 months worth of doing, 3 or 4 months worth of doing this. So you figure 20 some days of school in a month. So I should have 60 to 80 of these things done. I had 7.
Wow. And what was that?
My principal knew it was unrealistic. He did. So
you just got it taken off of your evaluation, and they were like, "That's it."
It didn't affect my overall evaluation now.
Interesting. All right.
And we were actually told though that if that piece, because it was done as a district goal, not individually like a slow is supposed to be done, then if that affected our overall evaluation, like if it changed us from satisfactory to unsatisfactory, that our union was going to take it and file a grievance because it really had nothing to do with my content area and what I was teaching. So I really didn't lose any sleep over it.
That's part of the problem when they just at the top level they just put these blanket goals out there and they don't even look at how it affects the individual classes. So we have a guest today, Rachel Pearson from our
Hello, everybody.
fabulous
Rachel, join us.
It's June now, so that means I'm alive again.
Nice. So are you done school?
We are finished with school here in Minnesota. We finished up last week. Thursday was our last teacher work day.
Nice. So what was your end of the year rush? What did it look like? What kind of paperwork were you handing in? What was going on there?
See, this is why I said maybe I shouldn't come on because I might say something that I shouldn't say. I was a new teacher to my district this year, and there was not really a handbook. In our handbook, there wasn't really anything like what we should be doing the last day of school, besides cleaning our room for them to take all the tables and stuff so they can do the carpets and all that junk. I have not met with my administrator yet as far as whether my goals were achieved. I don't know.
Hold on. One second. Your school year's over, correct? But you haven't met with your administrator? How is that physical? Wow.
I don't know. He's a great guy, don't get me wrong. But as a new teacher to the district, I think there were a lot of holes that were not filled for new staff. And basically our end of the year meeting was, good job. We had a lot of challenges. We got through them. We're moving forward. Way to go. Now go clean your room.
Now, did they have evaluations for you?
That was my next question.
Do you have SLOs? Do you have and how did that factor in? Like, do you know, were you an effective teacher? Are you rehired?
Well, they didn't tell me I'm not coming back, so I guess I have a job next year. We did have an evaluation document that the superintendent, the school administrator, and I were collaborating on. Every time there was a walkthrough or evaluation, there were questions that I filled out about how my lesson went, feedback from the administrator. At the top of that document, there was a space for goals, but my principal, we never really talked about, setting those goals together. So I just kind of made something up and said, this is what I want to do. And, yep, I accomplished them. So,
hey, listen, sometimes we don't need it from the top sometimes. Sometimes we know what we need to do and we accomplish it.
Exactly.
So, again, this goes to show you how every school district varies from state to state and sometimes from county to county in the same state.
So, and that's one of the things I had put in the live chat, working with it's kind of merit pay, but not really. We have to set a district goal, we have to set a school goal, and we have to set a personal goal, but the district and the teachers union get to decide on what dollar amount goes along with those goals. So for our district goal and our school goal, if we achieve them, we all get $1 per goal. And if we achieve our personal goal, we reach $1,700 in a bonus pay.
Oh, now I have a question. If you set your personal goal and everyone achieves it, everybody gets that 1,700?
Yes. Yep. So what I would have as a goal would not affect what other classroom teachers would have, what the FIA teachers would have, what the music teachers would have. It's only if I achieved my goal, I would get that $1,700.
But
wow.
But you said you didn't sit down and meet. You ended up just putting in.
This is for next year, so maybe they'll have a little more rigid goal setting sessions with us. I hope.
Ours is changing also. So, for example, we had a district-wide SLO goal this past year. Well, today was like my last day. We had a half day, just teacher in service this morning, and that's what we had to do. We actually had to write our slows for next year, which are now teacher driven. So now I got to actually set my slow for next year and set my goal, wrote it up, created the Google form that I'm going to use to assess it and all that sort of stuff. So I'm set and ready to go for next year, which is how it should be, more so than a district-wide one. So we at least made that change for next year, which was good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's hard to say for a district to encompass every class. I mean, you could talk about literacy or numeracy or whatever, but to hit up music, art, all the phys ed, all the ancillary ones, it's really hard to set one goal and say, hey, everybody go for this. It's tough. So, all right, well.
And not to have that tied to testing scores either, or do tie it to testing scores, or I don't know. So it's tough to say.
Yeah, I don't know about the testing scores. There seems to be a lot of problem with testing in general about who the tests are geared for. Your ELL kids get hurt. I mean, there's all kinds of issues with that. All right, well, thank you, Rachel, for calling in. Big fan of Rachel Pearson, and she is an anti-matcher. Have a good one, lady. All right. So when we talk about our,
you didn't even let us say bye. Yeah, thanks for coming. Beep.
We're trying to keep this on point. Let's go. Let's not fool around, people. All right.
True, very true.
So just like Nicholas, yeah. Sorry, Rachel, if I was a little rude over there. So just like Nick, I had a SGO, student growth outcome, unlike the SLO. Yes, go. So I did pretty decent on mine. I just handed them in today, and I used my SGOs I did the 8 locomotor movements for my kindergarten. So by the end of the year, they needed to master all 8. If they messed up one, then they failed for the SGO for me. So I thought that was easy. Now, this is where
kindergarten next year.
Yeah, right. So this is where I kind of differ. Shape America says you got to skip by 2nd grade. That's when we're expected to skip. Me personally, I feel like we should be able to skip by the end of kindergarten. So this is where I differ just a little bit. I think out of 20-something kids, I might have had 3 that weren't able to do it, and skipping was not the problem. Leaping was the problem. For me, leaping is so much more difficult of a skill than
single foot takeoff, single foot landing.
Exactly. And we talked about the puddle. We did it numerous times. I don't know. So anyway, so that was there. My 5th grade.
Do you use poly spots at all? Do you have poly spots or anything?
I have poly spots. I don't use them. Why? You have an idea for me?
Well, I'm just thinking if you used a poly spot and if you use 2 different colors, like blue for left foot, like in front of a jump rope, and you put 2 jump ropes, like the game Jump the River.
Yeah.
And then you have them leap over the 2 jump ropes.
And then land on the other foot.
And then a different color for a different foot. And might give them more of a visual. Maybe those kids were more visual with it. I don't know.
I like it. I will be writing that down in my notes for next year. Good thing I have my meeting coming up on Friday. So they're going to ask me, I'm sure, something about that. So I'll say, well, I use my PLN. Anyway. So my 2nd SGO was the 5 components of fitness. Now, for this was kind of cool. I decided this year I was going to have 3 different ways I was going to test them. One of them was a Google form that I stole from Joe Bailey and just kind of twisted it around. So I asked him about the 5 components of fitness. Then I took Seesaw and I put out through Google Classroom. I had them explain the 5 components of fitness. That was one part. Then I had them demonstrate what exercise or movement would improve 4 out of the 5 components of fitness. I took body composition out of it. So altogether, they had 5 for explaining it, 4 for demonstrating it, which was 9, and then 5 for the Google form. So out of 14 points, they had to score a 12 or above in order for me to pass. And I think out of there, out of maybe 40 something, I had about 29 pass. I have to look at my numbers. So I did decently well. I didn't hit it up as much as I should have this year. We did a couple games where if you got out, you matched up the body, the component of the fitness to the exercise and all that. So there was a couple different things we did, and I revisited numerous times. We did a whole health project on it. So overall, it worked out decently, but not as well as I want. I mean, I always expect 100%. So anytime I fall below 100, I feel like I fail in some shape or form. So anyway, so that was my SGOs, and then we have something called a PDP, which is like what Adam was talking about,
Hey, Justin, I have
professional.
a quick question for
Sure, what's up?
you. With your, what was it? I was thinking of your health-related fitness components. What was it? There's something that. Go ahead. I'll have to remember it.
All
There's
right.
something I wanted to ask you about what you did, though.
That was awesome. Thanks for interrupting. So we
Yeah,
had
yeah.
we had the PDP.
I
Sorry,
thought I remembered, but I forgot.
no worries. So we had the professional
It's your
development
constant
plan.
talking that interrupts me.
That's what it is. My incessant talking. So my professional development plan is I have to look at. We come up with 3 goals, and my school doesn't tell me what to come up with. I'm allowed to pick the 3, so I get to choose what I want to do, and that's what I have to look at. One of them was technology. One of them was creating a new fitness assessment because I did not like what was out there, and I didn't agree with what was out there. So what I did was this year I changed from push-ups, sit-ups, and sit and reached, and something else. I did the flexed arm hang / pull-ups. I did wall sits, and I did planks. I feel like those are much better indicators for my age students. So we had talked about this a lot earlier. So that was one of the PDPs. Technology was another one, and something with professional development. Nick, you remember?
Yeah, I do. What you were talking about with your health-related fitness components kind of sparked an idea for a project, especially within Seesaw, as far as showing student learning and understanding of those components from. To me, it came to me like we're going to be one-to-one with iPads with 4th through 6th grade next year. And so for me, it was like creating an iMovie, and they could either personally demonstrate, the components. They could find pictures or video to put in that could demonstrate. They could match up skills or activities, whether sports or whatever else that use the components, just like different things that they could pull into, other than just them demonstrating.
Well,
But
that's what I
outside,
did for
yeah,
health. I let them choose how they wanted to demonstrate it, and I also let them they could draw it. So
right,
I let them. I gave them like they could make PowerPoints. I gave them 7 options, and I said if you wanted to choose another option, and then just
right,
make sure you check it with me beforehand, and we go
yeah.
from there. So yeah, solo would have been a good idea there. So
And my other question to you is, at what grade do you start introducing the health related fitness components? I do a
see,
horrible job with this, and I need to do better
yeah,
at it.
yeah, this is where I'm brutal. I
Nick
talk about it
Spencer, I
a
think, does a
little
really
bit
good
in
job with
4th.
it.
Yeah, I talk about it in 4th, and then 5th is where I kind of bring it in heavy. Where
Yeah,
probably 3rd, I could talk about it in health. 3rd and up, I think would be appropriate.
yeah. I think where I need to do a better job is within specific units. I need to continue to highlight and reinforce. Hey, we're working on overhand throw, and we're working on this. That is, what components are we working on and developing? So, but I also
Adam,
like.
how do
Oh,
you
go ahead.
tie that in?
Sorry, Ty, what?
Had the 5 components of fitness. So body composition, cardiovascular, muscular endurance, all that. Do you go over that with your students?
Yeah, we go over it. I think coming from the British system, I'm not one for just testing like bleep test, like pacer test, 12-minute run, unless it's part of a unit. So I think about giving them more physical literacy, and when I say physical literacy, I mean like giving them opportunities through different curriculum and through opportunities rather than just fitness tests because it's physical education.
Yeah, but do you ever tell them, all right, we're working on this. This is, muscular endurance, or we're doing this. This is going to impact our cardiovascular endurance. Do you ever bring that up and talk about that and tie it in?
Probably 5th grade up every so often. So that's probably something, if I reflect, that's something I probably need to do more.
Yeah, it just seems like, especially I start my first 5 minutes of every class with bodyweight exercises. And they did not understand that those were mostly muscular endurance. 30 seconds on, as many as you could do. That right there, that should be our muscular endurance. And it seemed they missed out on that a little bit. So I have to do a better job of tying that in. And I start that with 3rd grade. All right. So I think that's our end of the year rush. We talked about it. And Mr. Laveau, you have a tech tip for us. Can you tell us about it?
Well, I think you can actually drop the video in here. It's only 2 minutes long.
Drop it in. And then if you want to do that.
I'll have to find. Hang on, I thought you had it up. Sorry.
Nice. Well, while you do that, I could talk about something called a Zuba box. So again, when we talk about Upworthy.com, the greatest place for my news information, makes me feel good. They talk about wonderful things, not just rape, murder, pillaging all the time. So a Zuba box is this box that is cheaply built. It runs on solar panels, and it gets the internet. So they're dropping these off in the middle of these third world countries. They're creating them. And through these Zuba boxes, you're able to do banking. You're able to get online. Doctors can access other resources. It's really, really, really cool. So if you get a chance, check out, we could put the link. I'll put the link in there. It's called the Zuba box. And they're actually putting these at refugee camps right now. So the students, or the children in the refugees camps, have access to the internet. And I know Andy Milne shared before that Wi-Fi is the new water. Basically, nowadays, if you don't have access to the internet, you're being denied information. You're being denied access to the rest of the world. So that's something we have to increase. And I know in our lower socioeconomic students, that's a problem, is they don't have access to the internet all the time. And they're doing all kinds of different things in mobile buses and mobile units here. But these are in the middle of third world countries. Now they're starting to drop them and say, hey, and that's pretty cool. It's pretty cool for them to have access to literally all the information in the history of the world is able for them to access.
Yeah, well, that's like whatchamacallit too. The balloons that
Same thing like you were talking.
SpaceX or whoever they are is trying to get up there. And that stuff's crazy. I mean, the fact that as one moves out, they have it timed that the next one moves in without a single drop in signal. To me, that's just insane. The wind currents and all that sort of stuff, like, it's nuts.
I mean, eventually Wi-Fi is going to be everywhere, whether it's that new hi-fi they're talking about with light and everything else. Access to the internet is going to be almost a human right. So that is my article of the week. Mr. Laveau, are we up and running, or do we need another minute?
I'm just going to see. Here we go. Let's see. Heads up, drops in what showing. Oh, so it won't show us the audio, will it? Of the video?
Who knows?
In the live, it'll do the audio, but
yeah, in the live, it'll do it right now. And then afterwards, if we want, we could always pull it down. All right, here goes nothing.
example, you might be looking at a script for one of the sports teams or information about a game. So I'm going to put
All right. So let me get this straight. If I have a response to the same that I want over and over again to be able to use, I can save the response and then use that to put the response down quicker than typing a whole email. Is that the gist of it?
Yeah, basically. So I know that like this week I've had a number of similar questions from parents, and that's all I've done. I just inserted it back into one of the emails, made a few amendments, and then click send.
Cool. I like it. It seems very, very useful. Nick, any questions?
We can't hear you, Nick.
Because he muted himself like a good boy.
But I forgot to unmute myself. So, bad boy, I kept. So, I can see from your end, especially Adam, as like the AD and department head, where you're going to have a lot of the same, questions about, well, what's happening this weekend with this game, and practices and all this other stuff. That would save you a ton of time, and especially throughout the course of the year. Now, can you go through once you? If you bring up that canned response, can you go through and edit sections of it as well? So like if the dates change or times change or whatever else, that way you don't have to, you can use it, but still edit it within the canned response.
Yeah, you can edit it and resave the canned response however you want it.
Nice.
Nice. All right. So that will wrap it up. Mr. Laveau, any closing words?
Well, as I come to my last week here in Saudi Arabia, before I ship off home, it's been a good time, and we'll be chatting, I'm sure, next week, which will be my Tuesday morning, as I'm ready to pack my bags and ready to go back to the UK.
Nice. I'm sure that'll be a mixed bag of emotions right there.
Very much.
Mr. Enlick?
Yeah, I mean, next week. So Adam, it's actually perfect timing as we kind of lead into, our activities over the summer leading up to next school year. So that'll be perfect timing for that. So looking forward to that chat as well, because I'm sure we all have certain things on our plate this summer that we're going to be doing to get ready for, next school year, what that summer planning and preparation looks like.
Absolutely. I can't believe a whole year has passed already. Oh, it seems like the blink of an eye. All right. Next week, we will be talking about summer projects, what's going on, what we plan to accomplish this summer, and then put it out there. And then hopefully people will hold us accountable for what we want to get done. Doesn't let
And
it slip
have
away.
other people jump in and share what they're doing as well, because that's how we all get better and grows, having other people other than the 3 or 4 of us jumping in. So
Yeah, and then maybe our projects will align as well. So,
get some
again,
collaboration.
the same way we end every week, thank you very much for spending any amount of time with us. We appreciate it. We know time is the most precious commodity we have, so we appreciate you spending it with us. Have a good evening. Hit us up on Twitter or Voxer or Facebook or any other way. And if you have any suggestions, we're always open to hear it. So thank you very much. Have a good evening, everyone. Or
See
good
you
morning.
next week. Yeah, or morning. I don't know.